Hey, Rick Usher here, City of Kansas City, Missouri City Manager's Office. And today I've got Jae Edgar Bennett with Street Medicine and Joynn, and Tom Esselman with PCs for People, formerly known as Connecting for Good. We're here to talk about a digital inclusion, digital equity program that Jay and I started last year through the city's Startup and Residence program. And I have to give credit, though, to um, Father Justin at Reconciliation Services. He pitched the idea, maybe now it's been a year and a half ago, to um, our innovation officer, and it was termed, what did he call it? Digital bus surfer at the time. So he told Alex Brasco about that, and then Alex, who was our CIO at the time, started doing some work with that. So anyway, with when I found out about Jay's work and work with homelessness, then that's where we've come up now. We're rebranding it as Mobile Connect KC. Um, Jay, do you want to give a quick pitch on Street Medicine KC and Joynn?
I'll start with StreetMedicingKC. KC. So we just recently got in a partnership with the Downtown KC Council, and they've given us a space above Norwich KC with a lease for 10 years. And so we're really happy about that. That lease is free, including rent and utilities. So what we're doing is providing something of a mixture between a community center and a safety clinic, where we provide direct services 3 to 4 days a week to our homeless population, providing medical, mental, behavioral health, and social services.
All right, and then so Tom, give us the quick pitch on PCs for People.
Hi, thanks, Rick. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Tom Esselman. I'm the Executive Director, PCs for People in Kansas City. We're part of a larger nonprofit, PCs for People, based in St. Paul, Minneapolis. And we focus on the recycling and reuse of electronic items, IT assets that we collect from organizations large and small throughout the country. And we distribute and support those devices, mostly laptop and desktop computers and mobile internet devices, and discounted monthly internet subscriptions for low-income communities around the country. As Rick said, we were Connecting for Good here in Kansas City since 2012, focused on building a lot of Wi-Fi networks and computer labs in low-income housing communities and community centers. And so we're carrying on that legacy now as part of PCs for People, because we added a warehouse where we do industrial scale data wiping and safe and secure electronics recycling. And that fuels the work we do on refurbished devices to help efforts like the one we're talking to you about today, that involves devices that provide free and very low cost mobile internet connectivity for the homeless population throughout Kansas City.
Yeah, and so that relationship that we have with PCs for People through the city of Kansas City, Missouri, our digital upcycling program, I gotta give a shout out to Bob Akers, who was at Surplus Exchange back in 2015. We entered the first digital upcycling agreement with Bob, and then as PCs for People, Connecting for Good took over that operation, we've transferred that agreement. So through that agreement, the city, we donate our surplus electronics, so including smartphones that we'll be talking about today, and repurpose those in these digital inclusion programs. So with Jay, I had through our IT office 5 surplus city smartphones. I think we had a couple of iPhones, a couple of Android phones. Our staff had already wiped the data from those. So in just a very small pilot, I gave Jay 5 phones. What we're looking at in this program is giving homeless residents, people experiencing homelessness, access to the internet so that they can reach out to the services that they need. The phones don't come with a wireless plan. You have to access free public Wi-Fi wherever you might be. It could be like downtown. We've got the Sprint free public Wi-Fi that's in the streetcar corridor, but kind of throughout the city, fast food places, libraries, community centers, and now people are kind of finding themselves accessing Wi-Fi through parking lots, although more businesses are reopening. But that that concept, by giving a few of the phones to Jay, we're just trying to do a quick proof of concept. And so Jay, can you tell us about like what we called patient zero back in January?
Yeah, so patient zero, now we have patient 5. And so all 5, well, 4 of the 5 are either working and or one of the first client we had came in. We were doing a little bit of a clinic, pop-up clinic on Tuesdays at the downtown library here on 10th. Obviously now that's closed, but what we did is we vetted someone after a couple weeks of them coming in and looking for services, talking about their issues with employment and how that works, and that they didn't have a phone number. So after the library and my staff helped them understand what creating a Gmail account, and then actually after a Google phone number, we really helped him build that bridge of where employers can actually call him. We also helped him with his resume. What that did do was get the man in employment within about a week and a half after we gave him the phone, which is approximately about 5 weeks after we met him. So there was a little bit of a vetting time with that. Since then, the person's been housed, and I've only seen him once since, which is a good thing, right? Moving forward, the last individual that we gave a phone to was last week, and this individual was in different circumstances, chronic issues, chronic medical issues on multiple levels that we needed to put in a calendar for him, where some of his lab results had to be, given back to him immediately. Now, this individual is housed, but he was homeless for a period of time. We did not house him. So now the doctors and his calendar allows, not only multiple medical institutions to connect with him to let them know what's going on, if any possible changes are happening. And it also gives them a little bit of freedom with the phone. I think most people know that if you lose your phone, if you break your phone, the anxiety that we get, right, with not having it. Can you imagine the fact of just owning one? So that whole kind of mental portion of kind of acceptance into society has really helped our individuals move forward. And we really look forward to doing this more with the city and PCs.
Yeah, and so Jay, like one of the first things you said to me though was that you have to show the person the value of the device over selling it for whatever other needs they might have. So with the 5 or so people you've worked with, how has that gone?
So like I was saying earlier about the vetting process really starts with understanding not only the value of the phone, but also is this person ready to use the phone? In other words, are they desperate enough saying, you know what, this is my last chance. I've already had phones or I've not had phones, but this is one of the tools that moves me forward. So there is a vetting process in that. And then obviously a kind of a computer literacy education on that. And unfortunately right now the library's closed, where they did help us a lot with some of the nuances of, how do I get on the internet? What does the internet mean? What does www mean, right? For some of our other individuals that might have been incarcerated for a period of time and not aware of that. So there is a vetting process that we do have where we're not just giving someone out a phone, but there's a vetting process where we're actually showing the value of it and what this can actually do for them. Not just the physical aspect of here is a commodity that can be sold for $20 or $30, $40.
Yeah. And so Tom, as Jay's talking, I'm thinking about the services that, you provide at PCs for People and just the next steps we can go to in this program. Jay's working on like immediate needs. How do I find shelter, housing, employment? The digital literacy side, I know you're getting a lot of help from the library, Kansas City Public Library, Wendy Pearson, that group that are developing the digital access team, and now the digital navigators program are doing amazing work. But so Tom, can you tell us a bit about like your digital literacy programs plus like where you've gone beyond that on certifications?
Okay. Well, the first thing I just want to make sure everyone understands is that one of the reasons Connecting for Good joined up with PCs for People is to achieve a greater scale in our ability to provide refurbished devices, because you know, it worked in this field of digital inclusion for many years. We like to talk about something called the three-legged stool, and that means that, you know, everybody needs to have at least three things. That's access to affordable internet, affordable devices, and then the skills to use those devices, or digital literacy skills. Some would argue that there's a couple of other legs to the stool, including you know, accessible, appropriate content and IT support. And we certainly work within a coalition of other organizations throughout the city, like Rick was talking about, particularly the Kansas City Public Library, to make sure that the right content is available and either free or very low cost. And in our case, we also provide a lot of IT support for nonprofits and low-income households. But I wanted to show you, I don't know if you all can see this flyer, the impact from PCs for People in 2019, but the number that I want you to focus on is the 29,300 and some internet devices. Sorry, it's 29,514 connected to the internet.
Yeah.
And that is over the course of about the last 8 years. PCs for People has worked with mobile internet devices, and in conjunction with two distributors. Mobile Beacon is one of them, and Mobile Citizen is the other. And collectively, by working with those two providers, we have got nearly 30,000 low-income households throughout the country who have received a mobile device that looks just like a smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we're talking about. And in order to do that, we were originally purchasing a lot of those devices from companies like Sprint. And that's certainly still the plan, although the quantity is going to be more and more limited based on global demand for these kind of devices that emerged with the pandemic. So what we're starting to do more and more is develop the ability, actually right now it's in our Cleveland facility for PCs for People, to actually refurbish donated devices. Most of them started out as cell phones, smartphones, and convert them to become mobile hotspots or mobile internet devices. Okay. So that's point number one. And having that capability on the device side reinforces what Connecting for Good, which what we were before we became PCs for People, what we really tried to stand on, and that was providing that training, digital literacy training. We have 2 locations right now, both on the Missouri side. We used to have a computer lab in Kansas City, Kansas with the Housing Authority. That particular building is shut down due to weather damage, but within a few months, we're actually going to be reopening 2 more computer labs in 2 other KCK Authority sites. And the reason for that is if you can't make it to a library branch, or if there are too many people waiting in line, or if the libraries are closed, it's nice having a place that's in the community where you live, or near enough where you can go, knowing that there's free available access to good quality internet. There's good computers there, and there's people there that can help you through how to use them. And so we really have targeted, you know, the most at-risk populations throughout the city over the past 8 years. You know, a great example, Marvin Robinson from Kansas City, Kansas, who has actually made quite a name for himself by promoting the Quindaro ruins as a historic site for the Underground Railroad. He was able to make that happen by coming to our computer lab, learning how to use computers, taking advantage of the free services we provided, and just relentlessly writing to his elected politicians and government agencies over the course of several years, to the point where he did achieve the recognition for that historic Quindaro site. And he has kind of
designation, right? I mean, that's
so it's a federally designated as a National Historic Site.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a poster child for the outreach we do for individuals who have some really tough living conditions, but they know enough to know that, given the right tools, given the right support and encouragement, they're going to be able to achieve things that they've dreamed about for a long time. So,
So
getting a chance to reconnect now with Jae and the work he's doing is really exciting.
Yeah.
So we can continue to follow up on that type of work that we do.
Yeah, and so like where I'm going is, so we're, when we talk about internet services, we're typically, people are thinking you've got a PC or a laptop at home and you've got internet connectivity wireline to your house. And with the homeless population, they don't have that. So we're trying to work out this program so that we can give them this mobile access until they achieve housing, and then connect with your organization on the training in-house. Now, Jae, also you mentioned the Downtown Community Service Center. You have 6 computers in your lab there? You have a...
Actually, we do not. And that's what I need to talk with Tom with.
All right, so another serendipitous
and I need computers and I need internet access, Wi-Fi access. Right now, we're using my hotspot while I'm there in the community center. Use your services there. I think it'd be a great story to tell moving forward. That being said, on Wednesdays and Thursdays, our thought is to have a kind of center where individuals come in and kind of do a soft skill learning. Our individuals are already there. They can't go to the library. We're already dealing with them. And, also pertaining to COVID, and CDC, is keeping them socially distanced while they're in our clinic. But we do have the space to have 6 computers there. And we do have the staffing to have our social worker and our community health worker actually work with individuals on some soft skills and access the internet themselves, rather than we're doing it all the time. So we're looking forward to working with PC for People's KC in the next few weeks here to actually launch that.
Could you give me the address of that building that you're in, Jae?
1444 East 8th Street.
Okay.
It's upstairs from Nourish KC.
Yeah, and we can
know exactly where it is.
Much more information on that. The devices. So what you mentioned, Gmail and I think Google Phone, but what other apps are you looking at putting on these phones? And then Joynn that initiative as well. Like, what will that look like? Because I think the direction we want to go, and I think I told you both, we've got a case of smartphones coming out of surplus property through City Hall here next week. So we've got some devices coming your way, Tom, and so we need to work out the details of how we load the apps to that, which apps are critical, and then Joynn. So if you could maybe your short list of apps that are useful to the homeless population, and then what Joynn's going to look like.
So to go on to both what you said and what Tom said earlier, adding that 4th leg to the stool is more, what is that app going to be? What are those services going to be on the devices we give them or loan them? And Joynn is one that we've been working with the city to actually provide that directly for our homeless population, not just homeless population, but people who are looking for resources immediately in real time. And so we believe that in the next couple of weeks that we'll have that beta actually active. It is active now. It's just phase 1's done. We want to get to phase 2, where it's actually integrating with other organizations. And so next couple of weeks, we'll be having that available for an app to be on the phone or on their computer to where they can access themselves. Because the biggest thing about passing off and helping other individuals that are least unfortunate or indigent is this: it's self-advocacy, right? We want to make sure that they self-sustain themselves later on, not always coming back. And Joynn is one of those tools, I believe, that can help inside of the tools of the phones and computers that we're giving them, to where they can become self-advocate themselves, self-independent.
That's great. I'll tell you what, given the shortage of time we have left, I just want you to know, Jae, I'm going to follow up with you, number one, on your building and getting you set up with some reasonable, reliable internet and at least 6 computer And then I also want to follow up more on this, just the nature of what you're working on with Joynn and the apps, and what kind of specs we would want to put into the refurbishing of the devices that we're going to be working on with the city. I think it's going to be just a great connection, a great program, something very promotable for the cause that you've dedicated yourself to in your group, and also just a further tribute to the value that the city provides by, you know, opening themselves up to working with us as a partner, you know, making the devices available, but more importantly, just understanding, you know, the social impact of the kinds of stuff that we do, and and getting these kinds of products and services into the hands of the people that need them. So I am so thrilled we got to connect like this. I'm sorry it's taken a little bit time for us to get together, but I want to get on this right away. I've got a really great tech lead who likes to get out in the community and assess your building and see what you've got there, how we can work off of that, or if we have to bring in something new, what's the best solution. And same way with the computer workstations. If you need printers, you know, whatever is required, we want to work with you and get yourself set up.
We're a startup nonprofit that's been there for 5 years, and our funding is actually zero. So whatever you can do to help is great.
Absolutely.
For that, thank you.
Well, it's a public-private partnership. So
Yes, it is.
Thanks, Tom. I know you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got to get on this call, although it's another in the line of what we're talking about. Another kind of big digital upcycling program, although it's not being called that. It's really a citywide collaborative effort that we're trying to do in conjunction with the Federal Reserve Bank. And so, I mean, though, Rick, that you did with the city has been one of the inspirations for the work that we're trying to do to help some of the organizations in Oklahoma City. So I will follow back up with you on that as well.
If they want to know what regulatory hacking they need to do to streamline their, we actually did some ordinance changes back in 2015 to make this process much more accessible through the nonprofit relationship we have. So thanks